Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have another one of those pruning back my plant to get some beautiful propagations going. And I need to do that because I have another vining plant that has just raced up to the ceiling and has started legging out. And you can probably guess which one I'm talking about. Yes, it's this beautiful 3-meter high, well actually longer than that with the vines that are growing out. This beautiful plant behind me, my Scindapsus pictus Exotica. And this plant has got leaves on it the size of my face, bigger than my hands, and it's absolutely doing amazingly for me. I absolutely love this plant. But what's happening is she's raced up, she's bushed out here with some enormous leaves. And at the top part of the totem there, she's also producing a lovely amount of leaves. And then the vines go off, as you can see, and start legging out and racing off in both directions of the wall up there, searching for light and a new place to try and settle down and grow into a new plant. But of course they can't because they're up in the air and there's nothing for them to get roots into, so they can't be new plants. But every single leaf you see is a node and the potential for a new plant. So what I'm going to do is I want to encourage the whole body of this beautiful totem to thicken out as it is down here up to the top of the totem. So to do that, I need to go in and prune off those legging out vines up there, and that will encourage this part of the plant to produce more leaves on internodes that aren't too long. And then when it reaches the top and carries on doing that, I will let it grow out along this wire up here as long as it keeps compact. So every time she grows and starts legging out like this, every now and again, I'm going to go in and prune her back so that we get this lovely effect up the totem and along the wall with time. There is one vine growing that has absolutely beautiful leaves on it. They're getting very big and looking very nice. So I'm all the way up to the top of the totem. That one vine I'm going to leave and allow to grow out and see what happens with it. And the other two take off and encourage more of these vines to come up and fill up so that we can see hardly any of the totem in the end, because this plant is just doing absolutely beautifully. She's just one beautiful plant. I have her in the kind of middle back area of my room here, and my indoor terrace garden doesn't get that much natural light. I have a northwest facing window here that gets light coming in, filtering in, and during the summer, some of that light for a very short period can penetrate to the back of the room, but mostly my plants are surviving on a little bit of natural light and a lot of artificial light. And right next to my Scindapsus pictus Exotica, I have this lamp here that I bought in IKEA that has some LED lights that are very low lumen. They're nothing special, they're not plant lights, but they seem to be doing the trick for my plants here. On the floor around about, I do have grow lights that reflect some more light up and ricochet off the walls to help these plants to grow and push out more growth at the top. And well, it seems to be working for me. You've seen the close-up of this plant. It's not suffering in any way because of the lighting, so I'm happy about that. And beside my Scindapsus pictus Exotica, you can see on the tabletop here, I have a wonderful Thalia trio star that is enjoying that light that's coming down, and it's growing out and looks absolutely beautiful. A few browning spots, but that is very normal with those plants, so it's not doing too bad. The light is fine. I need to get in now and remove some of the plants that are in front of my Scindapsus pictus Exotica so that I can get in, because I need a ladder to do this job, because there's no way I can reach right up there without being on a ladder. So the first plant I need to move is this. This is my beautiful Philodendron squamiferum, and it is just growing amazingly for me as well. So at some point, this might need to be going up onto a taller totem, but for now, I'm loving this bushy effect. Oh, another big plant I need to just get out of the way for a minute is my Thalia Magic Star, which is also big, and I think doing well enough for me. Some browning patches, but overall, this plant has been doing amazingly for me, and it's still happy, loves a lot of water, and well, Yep, that is also just on the ground underneath these lights, not getting an extreme amount of light. Well, it's growing fine. The only thing is, if this plant had light coming from above, it would be spreading out more than it is. Its leaves are lying down a little bit because of the light situation being lower around it or not so bright. But otherwise, it looks quite healthy enough, don't you think? So now I've got my ladder in place, and for this part, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit because you're going to be seeing my back for a while. I'll go up, tie in the one piece of vine that I want to keep up there so it's kept sturdy, and I will just go in and prune off the other two vines, pull them out, and then we'll get on to looking at how I'm going to propagate them. Just a quick little snip, 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 and we're all done. So that was one half of the vines down. Now for the other side. Just a little bit more. And that was it. That was the second half down. And you can see in a moment that I have tied her in at the top too. So now I have a lovely plant that is right at the top of the stake still and bushing out and starting to look good. And hopefully this will encourage her now to just keep bushing out up there before I allow her to go and do this again. All of these now are beautiful, viable propagations just waiting to become new plants. So let's get on with doing the propagation part. So now it's time for the moment of truth, getting on and propagating these beautiful Scindapsus pictus Exotica cuttings and making them into a lovely new beautiful plant. But before that, I'll just bring these leaves in so you get a little closer look at them, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do. So here they are. Look at that beautiful leaf. There is absolutely nothing wrong with these lovely, lovely leaves. Look at those. You can see the one at the back, the one at the front, all the way down to the bottom here. It's a whole jungle in here. So we need to get on and use all of these wonderful pieces of vine. And if you look in between the leaves, you can see the leaf here. Underneath that there, you can see there is a node. That is where the new plant will produce its roots. So it has a leaf and a root, and the same here. And the same goes for every single one of these pieces. So we just need to go in and cut in between two of the nodes, the internode here directly in between, and then we will be ready to make a new plant. Now to do this, I've decided to take a different approach than when I did my Monstera Staniana elbow variegata that you can see over here. I am propagating her beautiful cuttings here in water. And that video, I'll put the link of it at the end of this video and at the bottom so you can go back and see that too. That was a propagation video with water. And they're doing very well. Very well. But in this video, I have decided that I am going to propagate my Scindapsus pictus Exotica cuttings directly into soil in the pot that I want them to grow up in as a little bushing plant. So let me get the pot and I will talk about the soil for a second. So I have my lovely white pot here. I already have a plastic nursery pot inside. The soil mix is a good airy garden soil mix. I have put a decent amount of perlite in there. I've also added wood bark chunks. And then in the soil, I have also mixed a lot of leca balls. So my mix is just an airy kind of soil. So you can go out and use aroid soil. You can go out and make your own mix like me with whatever you have around, as long as you make an aerating kind of soil. Because these plants like to dry out in between watering. They really do not like to be overwatered. They need to be allowed to dry out and then water again. Of course, not such long, extensive periods of drying out because then you'll start damaging the roots and the leaves. But the plant usually starts curling its leaves when it needs water, so you know you can go in and water it. Or you can get your water gauge like I do, go in and check. If it says dry, you can go in and give your plant a water. A plant like this, I can't move it, so I can't go and take it to a sink or such and soak it through and then let the water drain thoroughly out. So I have to go and get my water gauge, check to see if she's dry, and then I'll water her that way and just keep checking in that way. For these cuttings, in the beginning, they're going to need a lot of moisture. If they don't get that, they're just going to dry out because basically they're going to be sitting on the surface of this soil here. So what I'm going to do to start with is, this soil is actually very dry at the moment, so I'm going to start with giving it a good soaking with water all the way through so that I know that there is water in this pot because these cuttings are really going to need it. I can see how dry this soil is because the water's taking a while to seep through. This is some potting mix I've had sitting on the side and it's dried out. It's been dry for a while now. So soak it through. There, that's enough. And then when I start placing my cuttings on the top of the soil, basically I'm just going to get a cutting. So we'll start with a cutting now, just so I can explain what I'm going to do. Again, in between the internodes, make an incision like that, and then the same on the other side. That way, you know you've got a decent amount of stem on both sides of your leaf and your node, so that if there should come any rot at the end, you can keep pruning a little bit more in to give you more chances of keeping this plant alive. Then, this will just be placed on top of my soil and left to do its thing, basically. So now I'm just going to fast forward and get all of these cuttings into this pot because now you basically know what to do. Cut between the internode and then lay the node with the leaf on top of your soil if you're going to make a soil propagation like this. And then when I'm finished at the end, I'll take you in to show you what it looks like.
So I'll just get and cut in between all the nodes and place all these leaves on this soil here and just hope for the best with these beautiful leaves.
Now what I'm doing right now is all the stems that have nodes, I am just lying those on the top of the soil under the leaves I have, just to give them a chance. You know, if there are nodes, there is the possibility of roots, and with the possibility of roots comes leaves. So I am just experimenting here. I haven't seen this done like this before. I am just laying all those twigs or stems underneath all the leaves and lying all of my cuttings here on top of the soil, and I am just going to go with the flow. I mean, it already looks like I have a full, beautiful, lush plant growing, but this is only the beginning. So what I need to do now is get the spray gun and spray the top of the soil and the leaves to keep the top of that soil moist, because I need to keep the top of this soil moist every single day. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be keeping this pot with me wherever I go. And I mean, because I live at Crystal Cottage sometimes, and I live at our apartment here in Malmö sometimes. So I need to take this pot with me whenever I change home, because it's going to need misting a few times a day. Because at the beginning, as I said, we need to keep the top of that soil moist, because otherwise these are just going to dry out. But I did put a decent amount of water into the soil so that there's water underneath, so that when the roots start coming out, they can go down and get more water. But in the beginning, all the action is only on the surface. And some of the roots aren't touching the soil, some are floating around here. So I need to keep this sprayed as often as I see it dries out. This is a total experiment, people. This is my little experiment. I hope it's going to work out. I'm not sure. Maybe all of these will perish. We will see. But you know what? My mother plant there, she just keep on producing for me. So I know that I'll have more chances in the future. So this time I am experimenting with making propagations directly in soil this way, and we'll see if I can get that bushy effect of a plant that I want straight away in this lovely white cover pot. So let me bring these cuttings in now to give you a closer look. So here they are, all of my beautiful cuttings now propagating the first seconds of their propagating life in soil, where I am going to be spraying them over, as you can see, with all those lovely spray droplets all over them. I got lots of leaves, so I got to cover the whole soil, and I had lots of stems that I've just laid on the soil that had no leaf but all have nodes, so they're all viable stems. So if I can manage to keep this moist enough, I'm hoping they'll flush out roots and just turn into plants straight away without having to do the transition between water and soil. And then I will have a fully fledged plant straight away as soon as I see roots coming out. So that is the way I've experimented this time, and we'll see what happens. As I said, constant spraying this is going to need until it gets roots, and then when the roots get bigger and more mature, it will go back to being watered, allowed to dry out, watered and allowed to dry out. But in the beginning, with no roots and a leaf, it really is going to need to have a lot of moisture now, because it's lost all of the sustenance from its mother plant. And well, this just looks gorgeous already, doesn't it? It just looks gorgeous already. So let's hope that this turns into a beautiful plant for me. So anyway, that's all I have for you for this propagation to pot video. I really hope you enjoyed seeing how I pruned back my Scindapsus pictus Exotica and made her look more beautiful, and got some lovely cuttings out of my plant because she just is a plant that keeps on giving. And well, we'll see what happens with this. If it doesn't work out, I know I'll have more chances in the future. I can take more cuttings from the mother plant and try different methods of propagation. So all I can say to you is get out there and prune back your plants if they're getting leggy. Experiment in your own way how you do your propagations, right below how you do your propagations or different ideas you may have. And let's just share our experiences of how we do things ourselves. As I said, I'm an amateur and this is just my experiment, and I love experimenting with plants. And why not? If you have plants that keep on growing and keep on giving, you can keep on experimenting, right? And see what works. So I think I'm going to get a beautiful plant out of this. Anyway, thank you so much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.